enforcement of scooter laws in the territory.
And more responsibility to be placed on patrons of bars and nightclubs and more after a word from our sponsors.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting for people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing. It's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Welcome everybody. It's Thursday, June 11th, 2020. A terrific Thursday that is in the beautiful British Virgin Islands. I'm Ron Grant.
And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes.
Always a pleasure bringing you our latest news both locally, regionally, and internationally. We have a lot to get into, Kyla, so we'll get started. A well-known, long-standing BVI businessman from Guyana was yesterday, June 10th, knocked out by a Jamaican citizen residing in the BVI at around 2:30 at his business establishment in Fish Bay, Tortola. Now, it is still unclear what led to the unfortunate incident. At the time, police were on the scene, as well as many customers and employees of the establishment. A lot of different reports coming from witnesses who claim that at different points, different incidents occurred, but investigations are still ongoing into the incident, and we wish that businessman a speedy recovery.
Most definitely, Ron. A speedy recovery to him. But Ron, as we move on into this newscast, the Managing Director and CEO, Dr. Robert A. McTavius, has made the decision to hang up his hat and retire from the BVI Financial Services Commission, effective December 31st, 2020. This was confirmed in a statement issued by the chairman of the Financial Services Commission Board of Commissioners, Mr. Robin Gall. Dr. McTavius was the first and only managing director and CEO since the creation of the statutory body, which took place in 2001 following the enactment of the Financial Services Act. As managing director and CEO of FSC, Dr. McTavius has responsibilities for establishing and maintaining a regulatory regime that is fully compliant with universally agreed international standards. He is also responsible for the administration and operation of the Commission, the regulations of the BVI's financial services industry, and liaising with government and the private sector stakeholders in pursuit of these objectives. In a statement, Dr. McTavius was noted as one of the architects of BVI's success as a financial services center. It said, he truly was a visionary for the financial services industry here in the Virgin Islands. He envisioned more income generating opportunities for the Virgin Islands and channeled his education, knowledge, and experience in setting the foundation for the development of the financial industry here in the Virgin Islands. It continued by saying, his vision, innovation, creativity, pioneer's spirit, and love for his native Virgin Islands and its people catapulted the BVI as an international reputation for excellent regulations, which is universally regarded as a leading financial center. Dr. McTavius has played a pivotal role in charting the course of the development of the BVI financial services industry for over 35 years. Dr. McTavius had an renowned 25-year career as a civil servant, during which he served as the Deputy Financial Secretary from 1980 to 1985, Financial Secretary from 1985 to 1991, and Director of Financial Services from 1993 to 2001. In January 2002, he assumed the post of Managing Director and CEO of the Commission, a position he holds to this day. Dr. McTavish has been the principal financial services negotiator for the BVI, developing in the process widespread applauded for dealing with the international initiatives. He is also a leading voice for the region on these matters. The Commission acknowledges Dr. McTavish's dedicated service to the Commission for almost 20 years and for his continued unselfish service to his beloved British Virgin Islands community. Ron, this man is truly a man of service.
Indeed. What a career and what a contribution to the British Virgin Islands, not only in the civil service, but transitioning to the financial services industry. One of the things that I really admire about Dr. Robert McTavish is his ingenuity and really his ability to maneuver through ever-changing times. Throughout his time at the Financial Services Commission, it has gone through a myriad of changes. The industry itself has gone through a myriad of changes, particularly as it pertains to coming up to speed with regulations. And him and his team have really, really done a remarkable job.
Most definitely. Well, for persons who really don't understand what this means, we boast about 60% coming from our financial services industry. And this is the man that have really led that charge at the Commission and really building this engine that we know now as the financial services industry here in the BVI. I definitely can say that on the 31st of December, it will be a sad day at the Commission, but also for the BVI, but of course over at the BVI FSC, knowing the person that Dr. McTavish was, a man that loved to teach. And he loved the persons that were under him to succeed just as much as he did.
Amazing.
So we know over at the BVI FSC, it is still in capable hands as they move forward and still lead the charge here in the BVI as it pertains to the financial services industry.
And we want to wish the agency and Dr. Robert McTavish the very best, but particularly him, a great and happy retirement to you, sir. Do enjoy.
Definitely.
Continuing on, the territorial readiness was the focus at yesterday's virtual meeting at the National Disaster Management Council. The meeting saw high-level discussions on key components of preparedness, including the readiness for the public service, emergency shelters, COVID-19 considerations, sister islands needs, and backup communication plans. The NDMC is chaired by His Excellency the Governor Augustus J.U. Jaspert and includes permanent secretaries and department heads from across the public service, as well as representatives from partner organizations such as non-governmental organizations and statutory bodies who provide critical services to the territory of the Virgin Islands. Governor Jaspert thanked attendees for their work thus far in helping the Virgin Islands be ready for anything at any time. He also acknowledged that the present multi-hazard environment in which the territory faces threats, including a global pandemic and systemic activity, as well as the Atlantic hurricane season, poses new challenges, but told the council he has faith in the territory's ability to meet the challenge. Governor Jaspert said, and I quote, "There is a lot of pressure on us, but we have one of the best tested and strongest teams in the world, so I am confident in our ability to face this season." The Governor of the Virgin Islands also highlighted the need for the entire BVI community to stay prepared throughout this season, adding that each person should stay informed, have an emergency plan, and keep essential supplies on hand. Deputy Governor of the Virgin Islands, David Archer Jr., provided a report on the Public Service Readiness Assessment, a tool which highlighted areas to be prioritized to improve territorial preparedness. Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Health and Social Development, Ms. Patrona Davies, shared how COVID-19 is an integrated part of the territory's seasonal preparedness. The Council also heard of an overview of what forecasters have predicted to be more of an active season than usual from the Department of Disaster Management Emergency Communication Manager, Ms. Jacine Penn, as well as an update on the readiness of the Sister Islands from Sister Islands Program Coordinator, Ms. Sasha Flax. Now, Council members agreed to several urgent actions, including finalizing the continuity of a government plan, completing COVID-19 efforts as the territory emergency shelters, and advancing, of course, the projects underway to ensure bulky waste is removed and waterways are clear throughout the territory of the Virgin Islands. The NDMC meets at least one each year, or they meet rather at least once each year in keeping with the requirements of the National Disaster Management Act. Council meetings will allow persons to play a key role in the territory's preparedness and response for all kinds of hazards, including hurricanes, an opportunity, of course, to share ideas and information. Now, this cross-sector collaboration ensures that the territory can plan the safest and most efficient response to disasters and emergencies. Kyle, I'm so happy to see that we are continuing this process of making sure that Virgin Islanders, residents both in the public and private sector are equipped as we approach a very active hurricane season.
Most definitely, Ron. But viewers, still ahead, the public calls for law enforcement of scooter laws here in the territory, and the BVI CCHA encourage proactive action in preparing for the 2020 hurricane season. All this and so much more when 284 News returns.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, the Minister of Transportation, Works and Utilities, Honorable Kai Reimer, spoke to the biking community in a live forum held yesterday afternoon. The minister and the government is pushing the message of safety first, as the recent bike curfew really provoked conversations here in the territory. Many viewers of the forum asked, why can't the necessary laws be enforced? Or why not just enforce the laws instead of punishing a whole class of people? A caller during the live forum expressed her views on the lack of enforcement of traffic laws for riders by the police. Hear what she had to say.
And the enforcement that is needed by the police. Yes, the parents have a responsibility. Yes, the government enact the laws, but we also need law enforcement to enforce the rules. We see all the time riders are out and about without helmets, and we don't see anybody stopping them. We don't see roadblocks. We don't see a lot of enforcement. And aside from that, we also need
all great points by this caller, Ron. And now this female caller, she also said, we have the laws, we enforce them, and we spread the message. It will connect, but we cannot look at restrictions before we look at solutions. Here, Ron, we see the general public calling on the police to do more to enforce these laws. The callers suggested roadblocks as a way of capturing offenders. Honorable Kai Reimer, he agreed with the caller and said the enforcement needs to play a bigger role in terms of making the laws actually meaningful. He continued by saying, we have the restrictions in place now, meaning the curfew, and I am still seeing scooters beyond that time. Is it that the law enforcers are not paying attention?
Wow.
Minister Reimer said this is a conversation they will need to have with law enforcement. Minister Reimer said that the government is aiming to license 300 or more illegal bikes this month, the month of June. The Department of Motor Vehicles are now hosting a licensing and registration drive for all motorists. This will be taking place for the entire month of June, as I said, from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. daily. No appointment necessary. A speedy service is dedicated to these motorcyclists because there is a dedicated line. So the government is really pushing this message of safety first, but the public is really saying, hey, why penalize a whole class of persons? There are persons who are abiding by the rules, and where are the enforcement? We're seeing too much of this on a daily basis. Even now with curfews being enforced, they're still seeing lawlessness by these some bikers, that is, and they're really pushing for law enforcement as it pertains to scooter riders.
Kyla, I think this press conference by the Honorable Minister Kai Rammer for Transportation was really a stepping stone. To be honest with you, with change always comes resistance and some difficulty, but one of the things that I think all Virgin Islanders and bikers and residents have to understand is that at the end of the day, if we look back into the history books, there are a couple of things that have played and put into perspective. We have lost so many young men over the years to scooter accidents, fatalities, and at the end of the day, what I get from this press conference is that the minister himself, without saying it too much, is really saying, well, the laws are there, the laws are in place, but they're not being forced. That shows that on the end of law enforcement, we have a lot of work to do in the Virgin Islands as it pertains to really enforcing these laws. But be that as it may, the safety of our young men particularly, and of course young women too who ride scooters, is of paramount importance. And I think that as Virgin Islanders, once we take that into consideration and really focus in on that point, we will look at it as a lot more of a holistic approach. Of course, there is the annoying, excruciating annoying noise that comes from bikers at all hours of the night. But that being said, again, we have to look at it a holistic approach and really just move to a point where we're protecting our very own, and I think that's where we're heading to. So I'm happy to see the conversations are coming to fruition.
Most definitely, but also, Ron, coming out of the Ministry of Transportation, Works and Utilities, we must remember that from Monday, the traffic route will be changing. So we want to remind persons of that. There will be a final simulation on Sunday. So we're hoping that persons would come out and be a part of that exercise, because Monday will be.
So our little city with a big heart is having a bit of a transition, but we're excited to see where it goes.
And more change. We're speaking about change. We're seeing a lot of change coming out of this ministry, but with all good reason.
I agree. Continuing on, in light of the significant impact of COVID-19 on our businesses, human resources, and economy, coupled with the potential impact of the 2020 hurricane season, the British Virgin Islands Chamber of Commerce and Hotel Association is strongly urging the private sector and, of course, the public sector as well to take proactive measures in safeguarding all human resources, other resources, and operations due to the threat of a highly active predicted 2020 hurricane season. The BVI-CCHA further noted and emphasized that hurricanes are not the only risk that we are faced with, and as such urges all to review and update all business preparedness, continuity, and crisis management plans. Now, of course, adequate preparation ensures that both the private and public sector in the Virgin Islands can return to normal operations within a quicker time frame. Executive Director of the BVI-CCHA indicated, that the Chamber has collaborated with Chairperson of the CAR, that's CARICHAM, CARCOM, and Executive Director of the Dominican Association of the Industry and Commerce, Lizavier Fabian, on 2020 hurricane preparedness campaign to support the businesses within the region in strengthening preparedness in taking proactive measures to, of course, reduce the potential risk on all businesses. The Chamber further notes that these actions are not only necessary for this hurricane season, but necessary in this hurricane season and increasing operational resilience. The campaign, which includes a daily preparedness tip, can be found on the Chamber's Facebook page at BVI-CCHA and Instagram at BVI Chamber pages. The BVI Hotel and Commerce Association encourages all to be mindful of private property, businesses, and personal in times of disaster and respect the guidelines and laws and principles advised and enforced by our regulatory authorities, including the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, the British Virgin Islands Department of Disaster Management, and other related advisories. Again, Kyla, we see where another agency, the Hotel and Commerce Association, is pushing preparedness, and at the end of the day, that's all we can really do as we approach this hurricane season, prepare, but we have to put measures in place.
Most definitely.
Continuing on, still ahead, Colonel Klein resigns as the Festival and Chairs Committee, effective immediately, and amended social distancing guidelines to place a lot more responsibility on patrons of establishments. You don't want to miss these stories. All this and more after a word from our sponsors.
You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Top of power.
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top up or?
Viewers, welcome back. You're watching 284 News. Now, information reaching our newsroom has confirmed that Mr. Cornell Klein, chairman of the Festival and Fairs Committee, has resigned with immediate effect. The resignation letter was submitted to Overseeing Minister of Culture, Dr. the Honorable Natalio D. Wheatley, and details surrounding Mr. Klein's resignation are still very unclear. However, during today's sitting of the House of Assembly, Honorable Melvin Mitch Turnbull, representative for the 3rd Electoral District, who went up against Cornell Klein in the most recent general elections, is set to question the Honorable Natalio Wheatley on the official spending for the festival 2019. Some of the areas to be discussed are as follows: the total original budgeted amount for the festival and its activities broken down by location, the detailed amount expected for the festival and its activities broken down by location paid to suppliers, artists, or any other entity for Virgin Gorda, Road Town, and of course East End and Carrot Bay. Revenues collected for the festival and its activities broken down by location. Kyle, I know this news came as a shock to many persons, but we do want to thank Mr. Cornell Klein for his contributions towards the Festival and Fairs Committee. Word has still not been out on exactly what festival will look like, if and when we will have a festival this year with all that's been taking place, but we do want to thank him for his contributions and wish whoever is to succeed him the very best in their responsibilities.
Definitely, we do want to highlight the service that Mr. Klein have given to the Festival and Fairs Committee, and we just want to wish him all the best as we move forward. Now, Ron, in our last story today, Ron, the Department of Environmental Health has to return and have returned to the drawing board as it pertains to social distancing guidelines for bars and nightclubs. Our newsroom, we reached out to Chief Environmental Health Officer Dr. Lionel Michaels to discuss this issue. He explained that over the weekend, customers crowded bars and nightclubs. He said that customers had no regard for social distancing protocols. Mr. Michaels said he does understand that persons go to these establishments to be social, but persons must now learn to adapt to the new normal. He said, of course, if a group of persons coming from the same work establishment or even drove to these establishments in the same car, then these persons are permitted to socialize within that group. But overall, persons must adhere to social distancing protocols. Our newsroom also reached out to some prominent club and bar owners here in the territory to ask what were their views on this social distancing issue. Now, one bar owner said, and I quote, "No, we have strict measures in place to make sure that our customers follow all the social distancing guidelines, such as 2 chairs per table, etc." Another bar owner said, "What saved us is having a huge space inside and outside to work with, and the business model is not based on having a packed place like some of the smaller clubs here in the territory." Persons in the community repeatedly echo the sentiments, "It's a bar. What do you expect?"
Yeah.
Dr. Michael said that the Department of Environmental Health is now revisiting and making amendments after hosting a meeting with stakeholders of the bar and nightclub sector. Mr. Michaels said that these amendments will place more responsibility on customers to adhere to social distancing guidelines, the rules set by the establishment and the Department of Environmental Health. Currently, as we know, these guidelines put all the emphasis and responsibility on bar operators and management of nightclubs, and no responsibility is actually given to customers, the bar and nightclub sector. Now, Ron, we know this has been something that the BVI public have really been pushing for in the last couple weeks. Persons have to remember, if moving forward although all establishments are now open, that are now permitted to open, we are not out of the woods yet, and persons must abide by this new normal, because of course we do not want just a few apples to really spoil it for the bunch.
Well, Kyla, there are a few things that I'd like to share as it pertains to this story, which I think is a very pivotal and important story when it comes to not only our culture, but the particular present climate that we are in. One of the bar owners said, well, what do you expect? You're at a bar. And I really and truly have to echo that sentiment in a certain regard. I think in the first instance, perhaps the Department of Environmental Health was leaving it up to the bar owners to perhaps instill and put measures in place. And if you visit a lot of the establishments, you will see, of course, that the measures are put in place. The distancing, the seats, a lot of the seats are removed, the hand sanitizing machines and all that stuff is there. But when you look at logistics and you want to pick sense out of nonsense, as the old people would say, right? You cannot expect persons who are perhaps inebriated with alcohol to necessarily be cognizant of that space. And secondly, if you put the onus really on bar owners to say, hey, you're standing too close to each other, you have some persons who are really going to have a problem with that. What I think is a holistic approach, or could be a holistic approach, is as the territory really starts to reintegrate the process, there are two things that we need, particularly as it pertains to entertainment. There are a lot of persons who need to be consistently reminded, and one of the ways of doing that is to have consistent patrol at these establishments by the members of the environmental health to make sure that persons are aware and fully cognizant of that fact that they need to be social distancing. I think that if we have a stronger presence, just like if you go out and you see a lot of police, persons perhaps think twice about doing something that they know they should not be doing. And I think this is the exact same case. We need to have a constant presence of enforcement as it pertains to the social distancing. We talk about the task force, we need to see them in these establishments to make sure that these measures are being put in place. And the second thing that I'd like to encourage, particularly the bar owners, is that we have so many bars and establishments of such. It's about high time that they created a bar association. They've been closed for a long time, and I think this is a great initiative so that persons could come together and share their concerns, give feedback, and then present them to the law powers that be, so that there's a collective voice and you don't have one person saying, well, this works, and another person saying that this doesn't work. There's a strong presence of entertainment and bars in the community, so it's about high time that you guys get together and create a bar association and have one voice where you guys could be represented as it pertains to decisions that are being made.
Most definitely. I do understand your sentiments, and some of them are actually really, really good ideas, Ron. I think what I would say, though, the presence of the task force will possibly help, but I think, as our premier always say, we can police ourselves.
True.
Persons need to learn to police themselves, because at the end of the day, this was something that we've been hearing throughout the community, that the government is not opening bars. Why is bars not open? And yes, we do understand that sometimes the onus is not on the bar owners, or sometimes even the establishment, because they are trying their best. But I think just in the BVI in general, you asked for something. I think as grown persons, we should be able to police ourselves and act accordingly.
I absolutely
We are
agree.
in a new normal, and try your best to just
abide by the laws.
And simply
It's that
just
simple.
like that.
Most
Most
definitely.
definitely. Okay.
Well, we have some stuff going on this weekend, Kyla. Tomorrow is a holiday, a public holiday. We're celebrating the Queen's birthday here in the territory. We are a British overseas territory, and tomorrow persons from all walks of life will be doing all sorts of stuff, maybe going to the beach. But we also want to remind persons that a public viewing for the former First Lady, late director of the BVI Red Cross, Mrs. Reverend Idris O'Neill, that will be taking place tomorrow at 10 to 4 at the Rotown Methodist Church. Persons from all walks of life have an opportunity to come and pay their respects to this stalwart woman. And then on Saturday, there will be a private ceremony being held at the same Rotown Methodist Church, and that could be viewed on our Facebook page at 284 Media, live and direct. When we see persons who have made contributions, I think it is quite important that we show our respect and solidarity to their contribution, and a lot of that will be happening this weekend.
Most definitely. God bless her soul. But Ron, before we wrap up, we do want to remind our viewers that this Monday, our newscast will be premiering at 6
Yes,
p.m.
ma'am.
So yes, we will be coming live to you 6 p.m. for your evening news right here on 284 Media. So we definitely look forward to that. So make sure that you tune in, viewers. So viewers, that is it for today's news roundup. Be sure to visit us at 284news.com. Like us on Facebook at 284 Media and 284 BVI on Instagram as well as Twitter. I am Kyla Kenesha Ford.
And I'm Ron Grant. Have a happy Thursday. We'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.